Well, welcome to the video. I'd like to introduce you to the RexDog Average with ATR. That is average true range. So let's jump over to chart and let's discuss how this works. Now, if you're not familiar with the RexDog Average and what it is and how it works, there'll be a link down below in the description that covers the base RexDog Average. In this video, we'll just talk about the additions. So first up, you might be asking, well, how did we get here? Well, it was pretty simple, actually. I was trading one day, and Rex kind of came up to me and said, you know, we've been using this RexDog Average for quite a while. It's highly effective in our trading. But what we really need is we need a couple ATR bands. And I was a little taken aback. I was a little surprised. I looked at Rex and I said, you know, that's pretty insightful for a little dog. Well, Rex then kind of looked back at me. He tilted his head and then he went and pissed on a tree. So that's how we got here. So let's jump into the chart. Let's talk about this indicator. Let's break it down. So we are looking at Tesla on the daily time frame. I think we'll probably get to Bitcoin just to kind of show another example using this indicator. The one thing I will say, this has some additional options above the RexDog Average. The RexDog Average is just the RexDog Average. There's not many options. This gives you some ability to fine tune the average and the ATR bands. So we'll cover that here. So the first thing you're looking at is the yellow line is the original RexDog Average. That is the base RexDog Average. The green line and the red line are ATR calculations, and they're using the same numbers as the RexDog Average. Now, if you know the RexDog Average, it's using the 200 down to the 5. There's obviously steps in between there. It's using 6 simple moving averages. Well, we did the same thing with the ATR. We take those same 6 numbers, we get the ATR calculations, and then we create an average. And what do we do on top of that? We then just add it to the RDA. I know you're going to say, hey, that's simple. Yeah, but simple in trading often is some of your best strategies. So the green one is the above, the addition, and the red one is the minus. Now there's some interesting things you can do here if you want. You can use this base and you'll see that it's pretty effective on maybe finding overshoots, undershoots. There's a few things that you'll see as well. But here in the settings, you can obviously turn off any one you want. So maybe you only want the upper and the lower. You don't want the average. And then in these inputs, what you can do is you obviously have a change in the line width. And this factor, the way to look at what this factor number is, this is just what it's being divisible by. So basically, we're taking 6 simple moving averages, and then we're dividing it by 6 to get the average. Now you can change this slightly. Let's say that you don't like where the yellow line is. Maybe you think that it shouldn't be divided by 6. And this is one where you have to be a little mindful of how much you move it. But you'll see here, as I move the RexDog Average, it's moving down or up because what is it doing is dividing that average. So if you want to move it up, you bring the number down. As you can see on the chart, I'll make this so you can see it, as you can see on the chart. Maybe you think that a factor of 5.5, a divisible factor by 5.5, is a more effective factor. Now you can do this on the actual ATR average factor above. So this is the add ATR average. And in this one, you probably want to go at higher increments. So you can see as I go, we're going to go down. As I go down, the ATR actually moves up. The band moves up. You can do this obviously on the bottom one as well. There, you're going to want to go the opposite way. You're going to want to go the opposite of probably what you're thinking when you're moving this, but you can play around with it as you like. You can also, let's say that you think, hey, I think 6.745 or 748 is the number I want to go for. It's a float. You can add your own number. Play around with it on different time frames. So let's just default that. So the default numbers are 6, 6, and then 6. Yes, yes, yes. We know that's a evil number. So let's go and look at Bitcoin. Or let's go to a different time frame. Then we'll go to Bitcoin. You can see here, using the simple rules of the RexDog Average, you would have been short the second that it was below the RexDog Average. But you also notice a couple different things. A couple key tests, a couple key failure points are at that ATR. If I highlight some of these, just to highlight them, I guess you could say. We've got one right here. What do we see there? Failure right at the ATR. the upper range. What do we see here? We see another failure. Obviously on the long side, we can look at the same type of thing. We're looking at the 1 hour time frame. We see quote unquote support, quote unquote support. We obviously support at the RDA, the highly effective RDA, the RexDog average. Let's go to Bitcoin. So there's a shorter video, BTC, USD. Which exchange do we want to use? Well, let's use Binance, calculated by TradingView. So looking at this, what do we see here? Let's go to the daily time frame. Let's go to the 4 hour. Once again, most indicators, pretty much all indicators I create, and the RexDog trading system works on any time frame. I designed it that way. I trade it that way because that's the only way it makes sense to trade. Design a system and a series of indicators that you use and trust that you can use on just about any time frame. So the RexDog average works on any time frame. We're looking at this here. What do we see? What sticks out to us initially? Well, we see this area here. The ATR band on the lower end is a good overshoot area for a possible long opportunity if you're using it in that way. This would be a fade. I guess you would call it it would be a momentum trade, but could be in a changeover period. I don't have all the indicators of the RexDog system on here, so I can't give you a high level or a true answer whether or not this would be a fade or momentum trade. But we see a couple key things where it holds up the RDA. You know, it's well above, so the momentum is well above the ATR range of the RDA, and it's well below. So, you know, this is obviously a high, not velocity, but a high volatility area of a sell-off here. But it's using, what I find interesting with this, and I'm sharing this because this is, I did have an ATR aspect of this that I hadn't released, and it was a little bit more complex than this. And then, like I said, Rex came up to me and basically said, look, you need to simplify this and make it simple, just like the RDA is. And what I'm noticing as we're doing some back testing, we're doing some analysis, we're really saying, what are the rules? So I don't have rules in the system yet. If you're in the training, if you're in the RexDog system, you have the RexDog trading system, you will be getting rules for how to trade around these additional ADRs. Once I have enough data and enough probability that make it a trade, make it a viable high probability trade. Then I will be releasing the specific rules about how to use the ATR bands. Right? Typically, I don't release an indicator unless I have rules. But I thought this was pretty valuable, and I wanted to get it to members because I thought, and the public, this is available to the public, I wanted to get it to people that trade the system because I think that if I get it to people that trade the system, you're going to come to me and you're going to say, hey, here's an idea. Here's a high probability trade I'm seeing on charts that I trade with the ATR bands. And I'm seeing this already in a high momentum area. Typically, I would be looking, well, there'd be other indicators in the RexDog system, but typically I'd be looking at the RDA as a test, potentially as proof, as an additional probability. But adding the ATR band here, this is showing me that there is a possibility, there is an additional high probability trade using these ATR bands. Once again, this is a public indicator. Put it on your charts, you know, create trades around it, go for it. Rex would be extremely happy. He'd be extremely proud of himself. So if you do, definitely, you know, works on any time frame. Really could, there's not much more for me to go in detail here. I will say, if you have the RexDog Foundation indicator, the private indicator, these lines are not green and red. They are a lighter yellow. So if you have the RexDog Foundation indicator and you add that to your chart, part of the RexDog trading system, these are yellow. These are not green and red. But in the base indicator, they're green and red. So, and you can change them, obviously, and then default them. So it's really up to you. So really, that's all for this video. I really do look forward to seeing you in the next one.